Is it Homer to say Chris Ash? I feel like it's Homer to say Chris Ash. I think it's probably a little Homer.
Because it's an intriguing ad, man. Like, you guys just lost Al Golden, former Cincinnati Bengals linebackers coach, comes to you. You put on elite defenses year after year that he's there, and now he pieces out, and you're bringing back a former defensive coordinator who's pretty proven. I don't
Yeah,
think it's
well,
Homer of you.
I guess you also have now, this was I don't remember when it actually dropped, but Broyles award winner, Al Golden. So the top assistant coach in college football last year. And I mean, arguably the reason that Notre Dame made the run that it did was the way that he was able to get that defense to play. Now, obviously, you have to have good assistant coaches to help execute your plan as well, but I mean, they've gotten better each of the 3 years that he's there. We're talking about a long line of incredible defense at Notre Dame dating back to 2017 with Mike Elko. Like, this last defense was probably the best of the bunch, and we're talking about coordinators who are now head coaches at Texas A&M, Vanderbilt, and Notre Dame. So that's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive, the run that he just had at Notre Dame as defensive coordinator. And with Chris Ash, I mean, it feels a little Al Golden-ish in terms of what his career path has been. Now, I don't, well, I don't think it's a hot take to say that he never had the head coaching success that Al Golden had because he had, 3 years at Rutgers and they were awful. And
God awful.
I don't know that that's necessarily an indictment on him because Rutgers has been god awful under everyone not named Greg Schiano. And even then, they're still a 500 team. And we're talking about that like it's God's gift to man or something like that, man. That's a tough job to win at. And I think the thing that concerns me with Ash is the same thing that concerned me with Al Golden is it's been a while since he's called a defense. Not as long as Al Golden, who I think was like 20 years from the time that he was last a defensive coordinator prior to when he started at Notre Dame in 2022. Chris Ash was, I think, at Texas as their defensive coordinator during the COVID year. And then he got fired when Sark got hired and brought in his own new staff. And he's been kind of trolling around the NFL as like a scout analyst position. I don't even think he's been a position coach. So not like the full Al Golden where he's been in the NFL for, almost a decade after the failed Miami coaching fiasco, which again was not his fault either. So maybe there's a little bit of parallel there. But I mean, there's a lot of turnover on this Notre Dame defense heading into this year. Not as much maybe because of some of the young guys that they got to play as the season went along, but you're having to replace two All-American defensive tackles. You're having to replace an All-American safety. Feels weird to say out loud, but you almost got a little lucky that Morrison got hurt midseason, and you now know that you have Leonard Moore. So there's ammo there for sure, but their shortcomings last year, I feel like Al Golden did a really good job of kind of masking those, and they got exposed a little bit against Ohio State. And at that point, it was like, okay, well, we have nothing left to throw at them, so we're just going to kind of do whatever we can here. But I, it's a big ask for him because like the offense is in a little bit of flux too with the quarterback battle. So you would still like your defense to be able to, I hesitate to say win you some games because you'd think the offense will take a step forward in year two under Mike Denbrock next year. But the defense won them some games this year, man. And I don't know that they have good players, but it'll be interesting to see how it all meshes together to see if they continue to look as they have the last 5 to 7 years, or if they take a little bit of a step back. And if they take a little bit of a step back with the schedule they have, especially the first 6 weeks of the season, we could be going into November and Notre Dame's not even a playoff factor.
Would be an interesting way to follow up this year. Listen, you guys can't let Carson Beck beat you. Okay, you gotta nail him twice, even though he wasn't in the playoff game. I think it's an interesting hire. I mean, I know Chris Ash from his time, obviously with Ohio State, part of the 2014 national championship. So he's been there for a natty. He's got that experience. I think you at least have a pretty experienced DC who's had a term as a head coach to take over a defense that's having a lot of change, right, and losing its peak stars. So I think it's a pretty solid hire for Notre Dame.